Percents, decimals and fractions. Last week you discovered how to find fractions of amounts by representing some simpler percents as basic fractions. 10% is a 10, 50% is a half, 25% is a quarter. For 15% you found 10% and then 5%. You then carried out non-calculator percent tasks for me and you found fractions of amounts again. Finally, by using the calculator last week, you then calculated tougher percent problems by using a calculator, which made it much easier. This week, your learning intention shall be to be able to convert between percentages, fractions, and now decimals too. So we just dealt with fractions and percents last week. All your assigned tasks shall be on that quiz and take no longer than 60 minutes for all 3 tasks. And further practice can be found in Math Workout, and additional worksheets are attached at the end as optional tasks if you wish more. 3 parts to this activity: percents versus decimals, percents versus fractions, and then converting between all 3. So here's part 1. Remember, a percent means a simple fraction out of 100. So 23% means 10/23 out of 100. So 23% or 23% means per 100. Okay, so we would write it like that. How do you change it into a decimal? Well, what happens is when you divide by 100, remember that if you start at the right-hand side of the number, that is less than 1. What will you do? You'll move in 1, 2 positions, and then you will end up at 0.23. So all you do is move in 2 places. 56% is the same idea. So 56% means per 100, so divide by 100. Start at the right-hand side of the number, move in 1, 2 positions, and then you will see the jump to 0.56. So you don't need to write all the work in. 84% means 84 per 100, and you move in. So maybe that's too fast. Move in 2 places. 50%, you should actually know what 50% is, but if we go through the same idea and move it in 1, 2 positions, you'll be at 0.5 or 0.50. 75%, if you move in 2 positions, you go 1, 2, you'll be at 0.75. And 10%, when we move it in 1, 2 positions, you'll be at 0.10 or 0.1. Both of these are acceptable, but the reason that I'm showing you 90% would be 0. If 10% is 0.10 or 0.1, then 90% will be 0.9 or 0.90. So you don't need all the working, okay? I'm emphasising this because you could give it as both answers. However, when you go to do the DAT quiz, it won't recognise 0.90 because the 0 is not necessary, 0.9 will be the answer. 11%, move in 2 places, 0.11. 17.5%, a bit trickier now. So that means 17.5 divided by 100. So what happens is you start where the dot is this time. So where the decimal place is, and move 2 positions, 1, 2, and then you don't have 2 decimals in it any longer. The decimal's moved to in front of the 1, so it's 0.175. So if you think about 17% would be 0.17, 17.5 means that it's 0.175. 9% moves it 2 places, so what happens? You go 1, but you go another 1, so there's a gap. So if you think 11% 0.11, then 9% is 0.09, which means 1% will be 0.01. So what about 1.3%? 1.3% means that you start at 1.3, you start at the decimal, and you move it 1, 2 positions. So this is where the point will go to, and you have a gap. So what does that mean? It will be 0.013. So if you're ever unsure, think about what 1% would be, and then you can get the decimal. Okay. I'm just going through these answers again so that you know you don't have to write all the work in. 23% was 0.23, 56%. 84%, 50%, I don't write 0.50, I write 0.5 now, 75%, 10%, 0.10, but we wouldn't write the 0 on it, 90%, 0.90, but I won't put the 0 on it, I've just reminded you there because I've took it off those ones. And remember for this one here, if we move in 2 places, it's 0.175, 0.09. So when you get to single digits, remember to have that 0 there. So look, I've put them beside each other now so you can see 90% it would be 0.90, so the 9's beside the decimal, whereas this is small, so it's the unit part will then be moved so that it's in the hundredths part, okay? So just be careful about single digit ones. 1%, 0.01, and then remember for this, we move it 2 places at 1%, 0.01, 1.3, 0.013. Be careful when you go to that quiz not to write 2 decimal places. If it ends in 0.50, just write 0.5 or it won't recognise you as being correct. Okay, so what about decimals to percent? You can do the exact same. 0.89 we'll jump to when you times by 100, 89%. So the reverse is times them by 100. That'll be 13%, 77%, 25%. What will that be? A half is 50%. So remember, if you've got one decimal place, you still have to times it by 100 to move it 2. So 0.1 is actually 10%. 99%. What about this one? If you times that by 100, you'll get 125%. You can get over 100%. If you times this by 100, you move it 2 places, it'll be 18.5%. If you're not sure, hide that and think that would be 18, so it's 18.5. And then remember, move 2 places, you get 3%. Move 2 places, you get 2%. So this is just to show you what's between these, between 0.02 and 0.03, 0.025. What happens when you move it 2 places? It will go to 2.5%. Okay, right. Now you're going to try it. You just have to remember if you have 50%, just to write it 0.5 and so forth. You've got that quiz attachment now. It should only take you 5 minutes actually, but 10 minutes max, okay? This is not a big exercise and you just answer as you go.